Hello there, music lovers, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by and for checking out this video. I'm going to talk about Queen in this one. They've been making the news lately. First, there was this documentary that came out last month called Queen and Adam Lambert, The Show Must Go On. It's a documentary about how Adam Lambert gave Queen a second life, a second act. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. And also this sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody that looks like it's going to happen. Brian May just came out and said that there probably will be a sequel, which is not shocking. I mean, let's face it, Bohemian Rhapsody, #1 music biopic ever, raked in over $1 billion worldwide. I've talked about this movie. I'll throw a link up to my review of the film. I'm not going to go into it here, but you know, it's no shocker. Look, we're in a very stale climate in terms of films. You know, superhero movies coming out every other week, remaking old films. A lot of the new movies that come out nowadays are just shit. So you don't think they're going to piggyback on $1 billion seller? Of course they are. The question is, how are they going to approach it? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. All right, so let's talk about a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody for just a little bit here and what we're going to be dealing with here. You know, they took a lot of liberties in the first film. I even saw this article where Brian May acknowledged that they changed things to make the film better. Roger Taylor even came out and said, I think it was him, who said that, well, what difference does it make that Freddie told us that he had AIDS when we were rehearsing at Live Aid, as opposed to a few years later? He told us, and that's the most important thing. Well, I don't really think so there, Roger. I think that you pretty much screwed yourself, because now when you go to make the sequel, you've taken a lot of the, you've taken the piss out of everything. Because in reality, after Live Aid, Queen went on tour in 1986. All right, that's it. So this next film is only going to have 1 year where Freddie is able to perform. And by the time that tour was over, Freddie was showing signs that something was up. He was just not able to perform up to his usual levels. And the band could see that something was up. Something's wrong with Freddie. What's up with Freddie? Well, all of that's taken out now. We know what's wrong with Freddie. So they've taken that element out. There's no Freddie going to the doctor and the drama built around that and him finding out and then keeping it from his bandmates. That went on for years. There's none of that. That's all been taken out because they basically shoehorned that into the end of Bohemian Rhapsody. So they've taken a lot of this drama out that really could have helped a second film. So it will be interesting to see what shit they make up to make this all work, because you know they're going to screw with history a little bit more. But you know what I think would be really funny? You may recall that Adam Lambert played a truck driver in the first film. There was this scene where Freddie is at a truck stop and he's on a payphone, and this truck pulls up and out comes this truck driver and he's giving Freddie the eye. You know, kind of like, you know, you want some of this? The dude goes into the bathroom, still checking out Freddie. Freddie's looking at him, and you kind of get the idea of what's going on. This is the part in the film where we're starting to get an idea of how seedy Freddie could be. And so it would be, you know, what would be really cool is if they did a sequel and they brought it up to date with Adam Lambert. And this whole movie, this whole two-part movie, or whatever you want to call it, is about how the truck driver from the first film winds up becoming the lead singer. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, come on, that would be amazing. Do that, guys, please. Give me a movie that I want to watch. And then, of course, you know, there's the whole love story with Mary Austin, which I'm sure would play a very big part of the film. Not a true love story, more of a platonic love story between Freddie and Mary. He left her everything that he had. So it would be interesting to see how that all came to be. You know, Rami Malek may have to lose some weight. You know, Freddie got pretty gaunt, and it would require a lot of Rami Malek to pull off a Freddie Mercury, kind of going through that phase. It would be a heartbreaking movie if it's done right. It's not going to be the same movie that we had the first time around. You know, we had a lot of great music in the first Queen film. They didn't have quite as much in the second, or I should say the last part of their career with Freddie. You know, they put out A Kind of Magic and The Miracle and Innuendo. Not, you know, very hit-laden part of their career. Doesn't have too much in the way of classic, you know, knock your ass out material. There is some good stuff in there, but not going to be the same soundtrack that carried the first film. And so it'll be interesting to see how they work that in. I predict that they'll call the film The Show Must Go On. That's probably what they'll wind up calling it. So anyway, let me know what you think about a sequel. I'm sure that I'll be talking more about it once we get more details a little bit later, but let me know what you think about a possible sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. All right, so let's talk about this documentary, The Queen and Adam Lambert Story, The Show Must Go On. And it's a 2-hour documentary. I think it was more of a promotional piece for this upcoming tour that they got kicking off in July next month here in the States. Massive tour, raking it in, you know, sales through the roof. And why not? It's on the heels of the billion-dollar Bohemian Rhapsody. Tour is even named after the movie. So I don't think they need any more marketing. What I think that this documentary does is it gives some context as to where Adam Lambert fits into the whole Queen history. And the gist that I got from it was that Adam Lambert gave Queen a second life, a second act. You know, Brian May talks about how he thought Queen was over. They thought they were done. Could never achieve the same heights that they had with Freddie, especially live. But they were proven wrong when Adam Lambert came on the scene, because he took things to a whole new level. Now they're out there playing live all over the world, and they're loving it, and they're having a lot of fun, and it's because of Adam. Now, I've talked about Adam on this channel before. I am not a fan of Adam Lambert, and I got a lot of shit for it, but you know what? I could care less, and I'll tell you why. Because, look, I grew up a Queen fan. When Queen was active, when Freddie was alive. I was there waiting for the next Queen album. You know, I was that kind of fan. I can't imagine anybody else taking Freddie's place, singing those songs. For a tribute concert, yeah, different. It's one and then done. It's over and done. I'm talking about somebody going out there with Queen, singing those songs. I just can't stand Adam Lambert. I don't like his style. I think that he's too theatrical. He's too Broadway. Sure, Freddie Mercury was over the top too, but he had so much talent, so much charisma. He had so much depth. He had more talent in his buck fucking teeth than Adam Lambert does in his whole body, and I mean that. I can't stand listening to Adam Lambert singing Queen. Like, I can't take more than 5 seconds of it. I could have gone to see Queen this summer. Could have fit them into my concert schedule. Can't stand Adam Lambert. Let me know what you think about him. Drop it below. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this video. I've been getting shit for talking about Adam on this channel before, and even Roger Taylor acknowledged it in this documentary. He says, people are so fucking unimaginative. Fred's dead. That's what Roger Taylor had to say. And he also went on to say that people can put on the fake mustaches and the yellow jackets and, you know, good luck on the cruise ship, which I found interesting. It reminded me of a Queen tribute band out of Argentina. I've got a friend who lives down there. He went to go see them, and he said that they were really, really good. And the guy down there puts on the fake mustache, the yellow jacket, and I'd much rather see him than see Adam Lambert, for sure. He's a much better performer. And I went to go see Mark Martel. I'll put a link up to that concert review there. Really enjoyed myself at that show. Mark Martel, he sang Love of My Life. Sounded just like Freddie. I mean, made the hair stand up on my arm. That interests me. I'd rather see that than go see Adam Lambert do Broadway throughout a Queen show. That, to me, just, it doesn't do it for me. What do you think? Have you ever seen a good Queen tribute? What do you think of Mark Martel? Drop it down below. So they started to talk about what happened after Freddie passed away. You know, they waited about a year, then they had this tribute concert, all these great stars out there singing Queen music. You know, Robert Plant, Roger Daltrey was there, Annie Lennox, David Bowie, Axl Rose, Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. He was on this, and he talked about how he was the first singer to sing with Queen after Freddie passed away. I thought that was pretty interesting, little bit of trivia there. Def Leppard did a great job. I remember they did this killer version of Now I'm Here, and it actually sounded like it could have been a Def Leppard song, and I wish that they would redo that song. Def Leppard put out a cover of Personal Jesus from Depeche Mode last year, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell, why did you do this? Like, I didn't really care for it. I thought it was boring, and I didn't think it really suited them. I would much rather see them do something like Now I'm Here. That's a rockin' tune. But anyway, the whole gist of that was after that concert tribute to Freddie, they felt like, well, what else could we possibly do? You know, this is it. And I remember just loving that concert. I thought it was a great way to end everything. And we'll see if the Bohemian Rhapsody film covers that. I'd be interested to see. Wouldn't that be funny if they had, instead of doing the Live Aid recreation, they did a recreation of the tribute concert, and we had, like, you know, Woody Harrelson playing Axl Rose and shit like that. That would be funny. You know, one of the interesting things about the documentary was about how the band grieved after Freddie Mercury passed away, particularly John Deacon. And there's been some things that have come up in the news lately about him, some photos that have emerged of John, like, walking home from the store. You know, he looks like an old guy now. And nobody in the band has really had any contact with him for many, many years. They're not even sure if he saw the movie. And one of the things that came out about John was about how he was very close with Freddie. And John was a very shy guy, very insulated, didn't like to do a lot of press. And so he had a connection with Freddie. Freddie was kind of like, you know, the insulation between him and the outside world. And they had a lot in common musically. John Deacon's the bass player, and so he was into funk and that kind of stuff. He's the one that wrote Like Another One Bites the Dust. You can see even in the Bohemian Rhapsody film that that was something that he and Freddie kind of teamed on. And Freddie really wanted to get that song done for John because he also believed in it. And so when John lost Freddie, it was like he was just, I think the documentary says that he was just like he freaked out. He kind of lost that barrier between him and the outside world. And so John just went away, and he wants nothing to do with the business whatsoever. He doesn't even talk to Brian and Roger. Like, that's how insulated he is now. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And so now that Freddie's passed away, they've had the tribute concert. Now Wayne's World comes out. Wayne's World, of course, this big film with Mike Myers and Dana Carvey based on the Saturday Night Live skit that was very, very popular. And in the film was featured Bohemian Rhapsody. Was featured in the segment when, of course, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey banging their head to the hard rockin' section of Bo Rap, and that became an iconic scene, and it turned a lot of people on to Queen who had never heard of them before, and that included Adam Lambert. That's where he first heard of Queen. So interesting how we have a guy out there singing with Queen right now who first heard about them with Wayne's World. And so up next, they talk about the whole Queen and Paul Rodgers experiment. You may recall, you know, they went out with Paul Rodgers, who was formerly of the band Free and Bad Company, and he's one of the best singers of all time, still is actually. And on paper, it looked great. You know, I mean, Paul Rodgers is one of the best singers ever. They go out on tour. They even made an album with him, a studio album called The Cosmos Rocks. But Brian May talked about in this documentary how, as great as that was, the tour and everything, that they felt that Paul Rodgers just couldn't sing the complete spectrum of Queen songs. Like, he couldn't handle maybe like the Killer Queen style stuff, which was more in Freddie's wheelhouse. You can make the case that George Michael, while he did Somebody to Love really great at the concert for Freddie, how would George Michael do against the heavier songs in Queen's catalog? Hammer to Fall, One Vision, those types of songs. I don't know. And we're, I guess, never gonna know. But the thing is, hard to find one singer that can cover all the different styles that Freddie brought in. And so I was thinking to myself during this section, when they were talking about Paul, I was thinking to myself, well, why did you call it Queen? Like, that's the problem. Why don't you just form a new band with Paul Rodgers? You and Roger form a new band with Paul, call it something else, so the expectation isn't there. But that's not what they wanted. So that was kind of like, you know, the first failed attempt to do something after the tribute concert with Paul. It just didn't feel 100% right. Then, of course, there's the We Will Rock You musical, which came next. Brian May was behind this more or less, and he found it as a great way to cope with losing Freddie. And you know, of course, he just did the thing with Paul Rodgers, and that was over, and he kind of felt like this was a way for him to kind of do something Queen-related to take his mind off of, you know, what used to be. And Roger Taylor, he hated the whole musical thing. He couldn't stand any part of it whatsoever, not his deal. And then we hear from Simon Cowell, who was one of the judges at American Idol when Adam Lambert came through for his first audition. And at that time, Simon Cowell thought that Adam Lambert was too theatrical, thought that he wasn't going to make it. You know, where does that sound familiar? I wonder. Maybe it was from Simon's doppelganger who may have said that. I don't know. I used to get people stopping me, sending me messages, telling me, this is before I had the facial hair, that I looked just like Simon Cowell. I used to get it all the time. People would say, has anybody ever told you that you, and I knew what was going to be coming. So just for the record, this Simon says that Adam Lambert sucks. Just saying. And of course, now we start getting to the end of the documentary. Queen went on tour with Adam Lambert in 2014. They did a North American tour, very successful, and now they're back at it again next month here in the States. Queen right now are bigger than they have ever been. And that says a lot. And I think the reason is because Queen's music is timeless. It reaches anybody. It will reach people that haven't even been born yet. And you could have said that back in the 80s. I could have said that when I was a Queen fan. As much as I bitch and moan about Adam now, back in the 80s, I could have said Queen's music is so great that people who haven't even been born yet, or maybe born right now in 1985, are going to love Queen. And that's what's happened is these Queen fans, you know, they don't know it yet. They haven't heard it yet. Once you hear it, then you'll become a fan. And that's what we've got now, is this new generation or two of Queen fans who are not as discriminate as I am. And so they're more open to seeing Adam Lambert, more open to going to see a film that's not accurate. Well, whatever. And so this is going to carry Queen into the future. Let me know what you think about Queen and Adam Lambert. Did you see this documentary? Are you going to go see the tour? What do you think about a sequel? Let me know. Drop it below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button too. And I'll be back soon with some more videos, all right? Take care.